ends in fantasy. Historically speaking, Jeff Fisher just does not utilize the tight ends. You can ask Jared Cook, who played with them for 4 years and never did anything. Jeff Fisher does not utilize the tight end enough for him to be fantasy relevant. He may get you a touchdown a couple weeks. You know, if you need a home run, I suppose you might be able to throw one of those Rams tight ends in there if you're just scouring the waiver wire or getting somebody for cheap. But yeah, I'm not owning him in any format. I really just don't. Nope.
Not even if you get him cheap? Because he shouldn't be that expensive to get right now.
I just think my roster spots are spent on better places. Like, if I'm in the very last round of a draft, like of a dynasty draft, and I'm choosing between Tyler Higbee's on the board, and I see Quincy Enunwa on the board, I'm taking a Quincy Enunwa every time, because that's where you can get him. Josh, you know anything about Quincy Enunwa?
Let's just pass, because I don't like Quincy Enunwa. The hype was real. I didn't like the hype.
If you don't like Quincy Enunwa, pull up the playerprofiler.com page on him, and then tell me you don't still like him. It's ridiculous. But moving on. So there's also a report saying that Keith Marshall is expected to be a part of the Redskins rotation. Josh, what do you think of Keith Marshall?
So he's someone who hasn't really excited me, but he's in a good situation. He's not, like, where is he going ADP-wise? Do you know? Like, lower 4th or 5th round?
Are we talking about rookie drafts?
Yeah, and just primarily rookie drafts.
In rookie drafts, I think he goes around the 3rd round.
3rd round? Yeah, I wouldn't probably take him in the 3rd if I had got him at 4th. I think that'd be very exciting. But he, as a player, isn't exciting. I think the Redskins running back is another one of those situations where it's good for a regular football team, but not good for your fantasy team. I think Matt Jones and Chris Thompson can make a nice little thunder and lightning type pair, because I'm really a fan of Chris Thompson, and Matt Jones is just a bulldozer. That's all I can say about that. He's nothing too spectacular. But I think they can ride that out a little bit, so I don't think we're going to see much of Keith Marshall, though it is something to look after.
I am also a big fan of Chris Thompson, because he's a player that you can get cheap, that's going to put up PPR numbers, and, I mean, he's, like I said, you don't have to pay anything for him. Go get him. But my big thing is, I really do not like Matt Jones. I don't think Matt Jones is anything spectacular. I didn't like him last year as a rookie. I really don't like him now. I don't think he's probably the worst lead back in the NFL, and I definitely think Keith Marshall could take Matt Jones' spot. I actually had an eye on Keith Marshall before our draft process. We actually do a draft before the NFL rookie draft in one of our dynasty leagues. So we actually have to do kind of our own scouting and that sort of thing, which makes it a lot of fun, adds a new different element to it. So I had an eye on Keith Marshall pre-combine, but then he went in and ran that 4.2, and I knew that his value just skyrocketed. I was never going to be able to draft him because I wasn't going to pay as much as people were going to, just because of that fast 40 time. People love 40 times.
They do.
But he definitely has opportunity. In terms of rookie picks, you definitely could do a lot worse. I think he's probably worth it in the 3rd round. Personally, I'd probably take other guys that might be available there.
My thing a little bit about me as a dynasty player, film is a big thing of me. What I saw from him wasn't that spectacular. I didn't really catch my eye as some of the other guys. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of Matt Jones. I think that's his job. You go in there, Matt Jones, and you be a bulldozer, and that's it. We'll let Chris Thompson do all, like, the agile stuff. You just try to go get us our 4 yards, and that's it.
But the issue is that Matt Jones might go in and try and get that 4 yards and completely lose you the drive because he can't hold on to the ball.
Yes,
his fumbling issues were so major last year. At camp, they gave him a special football that was technologically rigged to make sure he was putting pressure on all the right spots. It's a real problem, and it ends careers early. I don't know if you remember who Steve Slayton is, Josh.
I remember you telling me about Steve Slayton the other day. We had this conversation. I can't exactly remember Steve Slayton, but I remember we just talked about this the other day.
So the year before Arian Foster broke out, so I believe it would be 2009, Steve Slayton had an absolutely terrible career with a ridiculous number of fumbles. And it's significant because in 2008, the year before that, Steve Slayton was the #1 running back in fantasy. And then he came out and just bombed. Absolutely, and lost his job to Arian Foster, who is now probably one of the best running backs in the NFL. Assuming he's the same player after his injury.
The $1 million question, isn't it?
Keith Marshall is the kind of player that I look for in our pre-draft scouting, because I like to look for guys that are going to be available late because of behavioral issues. That's why I found like Thomas Rawls and Isaiah Crowell before our draft. Players who got derailed because of injury. That's why I had a big bullseye on Stephon Diggs before the draft last year. Guys like that, like stuff like that affects their football careers, but it doesn't necessarily stop them from putting it together at the pro level. So I definitely think there's value to be had by identifying and picking those players.
Let's talk about Tyrod Taylor's new contract.
Tyrod Taylor. So Tyrod Taylor got, how long was it, 5-year extension?
6-year extension for like $90 million, something like that.
6-year extension.
I don't have the actual numbers on here. 6 years. You love any long-term contract you love as a dynasty player.
And the thing is, he honestly deserves it. Tyrod Taylor had a great season last year. He had a better QBR than Aaron Rodgers and Ben Roethlisberger. So you take out the injuries, and he has a great season. He's a top 10 quarterback at least. And you add that he has value running on the ground. He's a great passer. The sky is the limit for Tyrod Taylor, especially, and he's definitely not being reflected that in his ADP. But I'm sure that he's probably getting drafted after players like Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, probably even Joe Flacco. But Tyrod Taylor definitely could be a top 10 quarterback this year and beyond. He has great weapons, Sammy Watkins, Robert Woods, LaShawn McCoy in the backfield.
I'm not a big fan of Robert Woods just because we were just supposed to see so much and just never got it. But yeah, I love Tyrod Taylor. I'm looking up my what our consensus for him was quarterback wise. Here it is. About 19th overall. Let's see who's in front of him. Carson Palmer, Phillip Rivers, Kirk Cousins, and who's below him? Ryan Tannehill, Joe Flacco. Yeah, around Joe Flacco is what I was saying earlier to you. So I really like this. I think the only reason why I had him so low was because it seemed like the Bills wanted him out. They were like full on Latavius Murraying this dude and just being like, you know what? We openly just don't want you here next year. And then boom, 6-year contract. And I love it. I love Tyrod Taylor. And I think his price is going to go up, so I don't think I'm going to be able to afford him right now. But I would have loved to get him before this and tried and failed in a couple of leagues. I love Tyrod Taylor, and like now this is certainty. It's like here's the crown, take it. You are the starting quarterback of the future. I'm very excited for what Tyrod Taylor is going to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I probably have him ranked below Kirk Cousins just because I'm a big Kirk Cousins fan. I definitely think they have similar potential.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins, I kind of liked what they did with Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins kind of agreed with what they were doing. They're like, we're going to franchise tag you a year and see if you do this again. And he goes, okay, boss, let's do this. And I kind of wish they would have done that with Tyrod Taylor as from like a business perspective. But I think Tyrod Taylor can do it again. I think he can be a very good quarterback for the next couple of years.
I'm pretty sure the difference would be is that once Kirk Cousins is finished with this season, he can go and explore other options elsewhere, but I'm pretty sure the Redskins will still have a chance to match because he'll be a restricted free agent, if I'm not mistaken. Whereas
I believe so.
Tyrod Taylor, this is his second team. He got drafted by the Ravens and then signed with the Bills. Was it last year? So if he played this season under that 1 year, he'd be able to go wherever he wants. So the Bills definitely did the smart thing by locking him up. Yeah, he definitely has a high chance to be a great quarterback this year. Now it's the part of the show where I have to complain about something.
It's time for Jordon's Rant.
So Josh, you still playing Pokemon Go?
Of course I am.
Why?
Me and my dad
Why are you
actually
still playing Pokemon Go?
Because me and my dad have a competition. My dad got into Pokemon Go, and he's like, I bet you that I can get more Pokemon than you by the time you go back to college. And I took that bet.
What's the count at? Do you guys have a running tally, or do you know who's winning?
I think I had like 60 plus, and he had 56 or something like that. I just evolved a bunch of Pokemon that I've been saving to try to gain some XP up.
Come on, don't you realize you're being taken for a fool? You need to quit playing Pokemon Go. Just stop. You need to stop now.
Why? Because the Chinese are looking at us, looking at what we do?
Because the game is utter garbage, okay? You seem really cool. You saw the Super Bowl commercial, I think it was last year. Where there's like real life Pokemon battles. Everybody thought, this is gonna be awesome! I need this now!
The battling sucks. I hate the battling. I don't battle.
The game just sucks, Josh. You need to understand this. People get so hyped up about it. When it first came out, everybody was playing it. It was ridiculous. Everybody was playing Pokemon Go. you drive through a town and you just see people walking around staring at their phones even more than usual because they were playing Pokemon Go. Then you see all these news stories of people allegedly walking off cliffs, getting hit by cars, getting robbed. I think it's just time to realize that the game is utter garbage. Nintendo is the one that makes good Pokemon games. Pokemon Go is made by Niantic, whoever the hell that is, and it's trash. And we all just need to wake up and realize that Pokemon Go is just a combination of walking and paper toss.
I liked paper toss, though.
Paper toss is cool, but I don't want to walk while I'm playing it.
Thank you all who still stood through that, all of that giant Nintendo.
But here's where it ties back in. Ezekiel Elliott is the Pokemon Go of the NFL.
Oh, God.
And here is why. Everybody wants to draft Ezekiel Elliott. Ezekiel Elliott, I'm already seeing as the number one running back in Dynasty. That is ridiculous.
All right, that's a little bit much. If you go
to DynastyNerds.com and look at their rankings, I'm pretty sure he's number 2, behind only Gurley. That is insane. What are you guys doing? The guy has not taken an NFL snap yet, and you're going to give him this crown of being a top 5 fantasy running back? That's utterly insane. The risk that comes with that is exponential.
So what I think about Ezekiel Elliott, the first time I saw Ezekiel Elliott play, it was like the same time I watched Adrian Peterson play. It was phenomenal. The dude runs like crazy. This dude is agile for how big he is, and it just felt like the same time I just watched Adrian Peterson play. It was just phenomenal. Yes, he's going too high, but I believe that, and like if we look back at it like a couple years from now, I think it wouldn't surprise me if it was like Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette is like the top 3 of the top 5 running backs that year. It won't surprise me by any means. Is he being taken too high right now? Yes. Even in standard, in Dynasty, it's a little too much for me right now. Unless I had the 1-1 pick, I would have taken Ezekiel Elliott. But what they're giving us now is a little bit too much. I'd rather take the safe option. Go maybe like, if it was a startup, I would probably go safer. Go like Lamar Miller or something over that. But Ezekiel Elliott, I think he's going to do great, but not for the price range. Not right now. No, thank you, sir.
I mean, I personally have a scar on my heart because in my first ever Dynasty startup, I made the mistake of, in the second round, I took Monty Ball because I listened to the Yahoo noise and all this crap that said Monty Ball was going to be a great player. And it sucked. It did not work out at all for me. Monty Ball sat on my team until he was arrested and thrown in jail. Then I finally cut him. It hurts. And it's probably why I still hate CJ Anderson, because I just hold such a grudge for Broncos running backs. I just can't. You've hurt me too many times, guys. I can't come back from that. So I'm not going to take this massive risk on a running back who is not taking an NFL snap yet. I'm not going to do it. If you want to take Ezekiel Elliott at 111 in your dynasty drafts, go ahead. I could be wrong. I could be missing out on the greatest player of our generation, but the truth is he hasn't earned it to me. I might take him in the 3rd or 4th round, but he's never going to fall that far because of all the hype. Because everybody wants Ezekiel Elliott. Because Ezekiel Elliott is the Pokemon Go of the NFL. At some point, you might realize he's trash and that you wasted your time playing paper toss and walking.
I love the Monty Ball thing. Your Monty Ball is my Cordero Patterson. It just hurts.
That was in the same draft, and you take Patterson like the 3rd round?
5th, I think. I remember he was like going to be my flex, and it was going to be the best flex, I thought, because it was like all year. It was like, oh, get ready for Cordero Patterson. Get ready for Cordero Patterson. And I bought the hype, and it bit me.
But as I was saying, the whole Ezekiel Elliott thing is just why I believe in the 0 running back draft philosophy. I know Josh isn't too big on it, but the thing is, when you draft, what you really want to do, it's not about getting points into your lineup. It's about minimizing risk. I know a lot of people do value-based drafting or value over replacement player, which I've used and I've had some success with. But 0 running back really is the best way in the modern NFL to ensure you have a great team. Running backs, if you're going to bet on running backs, I'm going to bet that at least 2 of your starting running backs are going to suffer injuries at some point in the year. It's just, the position's just brutal. They're getting hit play in, play out. Wide receivers don't suffer nearly the damage that a running back does on a daily basis.
Yeah, I've always just been about consistency at the running back position.